Okay, okay, got it recorded.
Cool. Hare Krishna, Yogamaya and Pablo, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I will.
Anyone want to read this?
Send me something on the screen.
Can see the screen?
Yeah. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear.
So this is the very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita, you know, because everyone is kind of mixed up with so many things, you see. So Krishna is saying, just give up everything and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction, do not fear. So every one of us are implicated in some kind of sinful activities, you know. Not only this life, so many lives, you know. So Krishna is vouching for us that don't worry, you know. In fact, just prior to this verse, he was saying, he's saying this. Can someone want to read this?
Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
So he has also explained how to do this, you know. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage to me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So this is a very strong statement that God is making to help us to come out from this miserable condition of life. Yes?
Yeah.
So this is like a solution, you know. Yeah, you see this is not some kind of a, you know, friendly talk with two friends, you know. You must not forget that Krishna and Arjuna are talking on the battlefield, you know. And Arjuna is on the verge, he could die because fighting you can go both ways, you know, you can win, you can lose, you know. So Arjuna is being told, you think of me. Hmm. So the idea is to go back to God because this place is a temporary place. We don't belong here. No matter how we try, we'll have to go through this process of birth, old age, and death. Death is inevitable, you know. It's explained in the Bhagavad Gita in the beginning section that for one who has taken birth, then that is assured, you know. See, Krishna is telling Arjuna. Hmm. So we have to know this. Hmm. So here you can see this. Jatasya he durva mrityu durvam janma mritasya cha tasmat pariharyarte natvam sochitam arhasi. So anyone want to volunteer to read this?
One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
So this is the point, you know, those who have taken birth, we are going to die. And those who have died, they will have to take birth again because we are all spirit souls, you know. So spiritual in nature, we are stuck in this body. Hmm. Of course, you can ask questions who put us inside here. But this is the arrangement of God because we wanted to misuse our minute independence. Hmm. Because we misuse our independence, we are put into this material nature. This is how this happens. Anyone again volunteer?
The living entity by nature has minute independence to choose his own good or bad fortune. But when he forgets his supreme master, so the personality of Godhead, he gives himself up into the modes of material nature. Being influenced by the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with the body, and for the interests of the body, he becomes attached to various activities. Sometimes he is under influence of the mode of ignorance, sometimes the mode of passion, and sometimes the mode of goodness. The living entity thus gets different types of bodies under the modes of material nature.
So this modes of material nature means there's goodness, passion and ignorance. It is like a cycle, you know, that binds the living entity. So according to the modes, you acquire different kind of qualities, you know. So just to give you a further uh, rundown on that one. So this is how the mode works, and this is how he gets different qualities, you know. Again, anyone volunteer?
Mind and sense control, tolerance, discrimination, striking one's prescribed duty. Sticking to one's prescribed duty, truthfulness, mercy, careful study of the past and future, satisfaction in any condition, generosity, renunciation of sense gratification, faith in the spiritual master, being embarrassed at improper action, charity, simplicity, humbleness, and satisfaction within oneself are qualities of the mode of goodness. Material desire, great endeavor, audacity, dissatisfaction, even in gain, false pride, praying for material advancement, considering oneself different and better than others, sense gratification, rash eagerness to fight, a fondness for hearing oneself praised, the tendency to ridicule others, advertising one's own prowess and justifying one's actions by one's strength are qualities of the mode of passion, intolerant anger, stinginess, stinginess, speaking without scriptural authority, violent hatred, living as a parasite, hypocrisy, chronic fatigue, quarrel, lamentation, delusion, unhappiness, depression, sleeping too much, false expectations, fear and laziness constitute the major qualities of the mode of ignorance. Now, please hear about the combination of these three modes.
So this is how the modes of material nature work, you know. Suppose someone is in the mode of goodness, then he develops this kind of thinking, you know. Mind control, sense control, very tolerant, he is discriminating, sticking to one's duty, is always honest and truthful, has mercy, he studies the past and future to know and see how he is put into this position. Satisfaction in any condition. The means is, you know, she is happy, hmm, generous, renounced of sense gratification. He has a guru, a spiritual master. He doesn't like to do things which is not proper. Hmm? And he gives charity, simple, humble, satisfaction, These are the mode of goodness. Usually people who are in the Brahminical order, they have this qualities in them. Whereas those who are passionate, material sense desire, you can see great endeavor, audacity, dissatisfaction in gain, false pride, praying for material advancement, considering oneself different and better than others, sense gratification, rash eagerness to fight, the fondness for hearing oneself praised, the tendency to ridicule others, advertising one prowess and justify one action by one stand and quality of the mode of passion. This kind of qualities will induce quarreling and fighting. And of course, in the mode of ignorance, intolerant anger, stingy, uh, speaking all kind of nonsense, violent hatred, living like a parasite, hypocrisy, chronic fatigue, quarreling, lamentation, delusion, unhappiness, depression, sleeping too much, false expectation, fear, laziness, consider major qualities of mode of ignorance. So when we don't, come out of this, then these are the qualities we will, acquire. Hmm. So when we are in these modes, then actually the mode of passion and ignorance, very, it's a quality that incites a lot of lust, anger, you know. So like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, give up these qualities, this especially passion and ignorance. Krishna is advising in the Bhagavad Gita to, because here the question was raised uh, by Arjuna, O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly as if engaged by force? So why we are doing things where we don't want to do, but we are forced to do? Why? This was the question. And Krishna explained that actually the reason due to that, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, said it is lust only, Arjuna, which is in contact with the mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So if you go into the mode of passion and ignorance, you develop all kind of demonic qualities. Now that's why the whole world, it's not a happy place, because there's so many people who are passionate and in the ignorance platform. So when you get an overwhelming condition like that, then it becomes very hellish. So the mode of passion and ignorance is actually our enemy. But people don't know these things. They think it's all right. I do what I like. Because everyone is under the control of his mind. And when the mind is not controlled, it is one's worst enemy. When the mind is actually the real enemy. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said this. I don't know, how many people know they even have a mind, Why anyone want to read this?
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
So this is where we are at, So when it's influenced by the modes, then the mind can be very degraded, Carry on.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy.
So this is what actually is going on. People don't know, they don't care. They just live like animals, But a person wants to handle this properly, then he should seek a spiritual master to have guidance how to subdue this, crazy mind. Because you can say, what's the big deal? The big deal is that, especially at the time of death, uh, whatever the mind focuses on, then it eventually will attain that status without fail. Hmm? Whatever the mind, whatever form it kind of meditates on, then it will attain that. So we have to be very cautious. You can see here, want to read that?
If out of love, hate, or fear, an embodied soul fixes his mind with intelligence and complete concentration upon a particular bodily form, he will certainly attain that form that he is meditating upon.
So everyone is living in this context of fear and hatred. That's how they are dealing with everybody. Someone is my friend, someone is my enemy, someone I like, someone I don't like. That's how it is going on with the mind. So when we are usually people who don't like, we are the one we are kind of meditating on them and cursing them and so many things. So what our mind focus on, especially at the time of death, then again we will attain that without fail. So this mind is the most dangerous thing that we have. Hmm? And that is what has been carrying us from body to body to body. That's how we have been going on since time immemorial. Uh, help me read this thing.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
So this is how the transmigration is working based on the mind. Whatever the mind focuses on due to attachment, then yes, he goes to the next birth. And it not necessarily it can be a human being again. Hmm. So I explain. Explain here again. Read on.
Covered by the mode of ignorance in material nature, the living entity is sometimes a male, sometimes a female, sometimes a eunuch, sometimes a human being, sometimes a demigod, sometimes a bird, an animal, and so on. In this way, he is wandering within the material world. His acceptance of different types of bodies is brought about by his activities under the influence of the modes of nature.
So this is how this program is going on. And it's not very happy situation changing bodies. It's very painful. Yeah? It's not that, tomorrow I'm going to take birth as a dog or something and please come to my party and help me. I'm going to graduate to be a dog. It's not like that. Because that is a very painful situation. Hmm. Nobody likes to die. Yes.
Better.
Demigod. Does the demigod incarnate in a human body or not? Ever?
What's that again?
does the demigod, do they incarnate as a body, as a human body, or as a physical body, or do they stay in the universe, in the other planets?
No, demigod is a position, you know. So you, when you do pious work, you are promoted to the heavenly planet where you take birth as a demigod, you know. So you can become a demigod. You understand? Hmm?
Is it a duty of God? Is it a duty of Krishna, a demigod?
No, the demigods, you see, they are in this whole universal structure. There are 330 million demigods, you know. And each one is in charge of a certain department. They are like departmental heads. Like, for example, the primary one, like Lord Brahma, is in charge of creation. And Lord Shiva is in charge of destruction, you know. And Indra is in charge of the rain, controlling the waterfall, rain. Then you have Varuna who's controlling the waters. You have Vayu controlling the air. You have Chandra, the moon god, Surya, the sun god. So like that, they all are controlling different aspects of the whole universal management. But Krishna is the supreme personality of God. It is beyond all these things, you know. That's Krishna's position. You can read this.
Death is not at all pleasing, and since everyone is exactly like a condemned man being led to the place of execution, what possible happiness can people derive from material objects or the gratification they provide?
So even you get promoted to the heavenly planet and stay there, it's also temporary, you know. It is not that heaven you get all kind of happiness also. They are also, it is not a, you know, you want to read this?
One cannot find permanent happiness even on the heavenly planets, which one can attain in the next life by ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices. Even in the material heaven, the living entity is disturbed by rivalry with his equals and envy of those superior to him. And since one's residence in heaven is finished with the exhaustion of pious fruitive activities, the denizens of heaven are afflicted by fear, anticipating the destruction of their heavenly life. Thus they resemble kings who, though enviously admired by ordinary citizens, are constantly harassed by enemy kings and who therefore never attain actual happiness.
So this is the position, even in heaven. Of course, the heaven that the Christians speak about, you know, the eternal kingdom of God, that's a little different. And that place, we also say that is the spiritual world, that Vaikuntha, where you go, you don't come back again. Whereas there's a material heaven where all the demigods stay, you know. There, when you go there, then you have to come back again. See? So it's not a permanent place, you see. When your pious activities are finished, then you have to return again. Can you read?
When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death.
So going to a heavenly planet, when your piety is finished, you have to come back again. Hmm. So it's not permanent. That's why Krishna said, you come to me, then you don't have to return anymore. There's no more death, particularly for a person who surrendered to Krishna. Hmm. This is secrets, These secrets are not known. Krishna says, Janma karma chami divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva ham punarjanma naite mameti sorjuna. You want to read?
One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
So this is the secret actually. If we want to stop this whole program of taking birth and dying and transmigrating into 8.4 million species of life, then the solution is this. The solution is to go to Krishna. I mean, yeah, you can say, oh, this is, very, what we say, we are forced, I mean, I want to have my freedom, I want to do what I like. Yes, if you want to do that, there's no objection. Then you have to keep transmigrating. But if you're serious to stop this painful life, because everybody knows this material world is not very, not full of happiness, Hmm? It's a lot of pain here. Because this is already labeled as a place of misery by the Lord Himself. There's someone drawing on this thing. You can see here, the Lord has already labeled this place as a place of misery. You want to help me take that off, Sankushan? Someone is drawing on this thing.
It's not you, Chaitanya, is it?
He's gone.
He's gone.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Never seen that before.
Yeah, I don't know how that's on there.
Someone drawn like a kid's drawing.
All right, good.
Hey,
I didn't do anything.
Maybe we can have a... So here I see Krishna is using the word dukkha alayam, in Sanskrit. This is dukkha means a lot of misery, pain. Dukkha means here a place of misery, you see. And not only that, not only it is full of pain, it is also temporary, It is temporary. So this material world, that's why it says, it's not permanent. For one who has taken birth, death is assured. And one who has died, birth is assured. So we cannot make things permanent here. Whereas there's another place, of course, logically speaking, if there's a place of birth and death, there must be a place where there's no death. There's something high, there's something low, something hot, something cold. This is relativity here. But in the spiritual world, it is eternal. There's no, what we say, pain. There's only pleasure. And that is the abode that Krishna is inviting us to come back to. Because you originally belong to that place. Being spiritual in nature, we all came from there. So he said, come back, It is not a question of Hindu philosophy or, X-white philosophy. It is the constitutional arrangement of God that we all are by constitution servants of God. Because to serve is inbuilt in us. We want to serve. But because we are serving the wrong thing, we are getting frustrated. But if we come back to our original thing to serve God, Krishna, then it fits the whole thing. Yeah. It's also explained here. In this verse, you want to read, please?
The living entities in the conditioned world are my eternal fragmented parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
So we are very tiny spirit soul, and we are put in the body together with this subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego. And with that, we are struggling, you know. The size of the soul is also given here. In this place, you can see the size of the soul. It's confirmed in the Upanishads. Can you read, please?
When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Similarly,
Same thing is explained here also.
there, there are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair.
So you see the size of the soul. When we take our hair, the point we divide that to 1/10,000. That is the size of that tiny soul. So that is our position. Hmm. And
Even
God, huh? What?
Even when we go back home to Godhead, are we still so tiny?
You want to speak up a little bit? I'm a little bit.
So even when we go back home to Krishna,
Yes,
are we still so tiny, so small?
yes, yes.
Always.
No, we are always tiny like that. The soul size is fixed. You understand? The soul, although it is tiny, but it does, you can do things which is unimaginable. You understand? Because it is spirit in nature. So being spiritual, it cannot be limited, you know. You can do many unlimited things. So can you imagine if the soul is so tiny and can do many things? What about God who is so powerful? See? That's why it says that because of the soul present in the body, then the body is functioning. If the soul leaves the body is dead, finished. You cannot do anything with it. And that same soul is inside the body of a gigantic whale and is also in the body of a small ant. Right? So try to understand that the soul is a very powerful entity because it has all the minute quality of God. I mean, all the quality of God to the minute extent. Uh, but small fraction. Of course, God has got the qualities as huge as an ocean. The difference between God and us, you know. So this is something that we must know, then we will understand. And we are situated in the region of the heart. That's where we are sitting with God, you know. Like two birds sitting on the same tree, you know. This is how it is working. So you can see here the two birds. You want to read this?
Although the two birds are in the same tree, the eating bird is fully engrossed with anxiety and moroseness as the enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. But if in the same way, or rather, he turns his face to his friend who is the Lord and knows his glories, at once the suffering bird becomes free from all anxieties.
So this is how it is. The Lord is also accompanying us, not that we are all alone, you know. The difference between the Lord and us is that He is witnessing us and is permitting. You understand? Therefore, all our activities are all recorded. We cannot say that, no, I don't know, I don't remember. No. You may not remember, but the Lord sitting in the heart, He remembers. So in this way, according to our desire, we are going from one position to another that is awarded by the Lord. The Lord is giving that position. All right, you want to become a tiger? All right, next life you become a tiger. So like this. So God is in full control when we are subordinate. But because of His illusory energy, we cannot understand these things, you know. He make us bewildered. He's so powerful, His material energy. Huh? You understand? Although shadows, echoes, and mirages are only illusory reflection of the real thing, such reflection do cause a semblance of meaningful or comprehensible perception. In the same way, although the identification of the conditioned soul with the material body, mind, ego is illusory, this identification generates fear within him, even to the up to the moment of death. So he is completely baffled and bewildered, up to even death. When even changes the body, of course, is carried by the subtle body to the next body. Then he wakes up again, and again he's bewildered. So this is going on. So unless we go to a spiritual authority, a servant of God who is coming in line from God, he can wake us up. Then we understand. Oh, I am not knowing these things. I am actually a spirit soul. So when he gets awakened, then his spiritual, life starts. Huh? Then yes, he comes to the joyful stage, because he need someone to help us. Hmm? So when we go to a bona fide spiritual master, hmm, please read this.
If, yeah. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the bona fide guru is that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters.
So the spiritual master is required. We have been in this position since time immemorial. So long, nobody knows how long we have been going on in this kind of a life. Help, please read on.
because a person who has been covered by ignorance since time immemorial is not capable of affecting his own self-realization, there must be some other personality who is in actual knowledge of the absolute truth and can impart this knowledge to him.
So this is the most important thing. We need this knowledge. Hmm?
So does
Without
life get harder each time we come back? Like, is it meant to be like leveling up, or is it meant to get easier every time we come back?
well, when you come back, you have to go through. If you have to take a lower birth, then you have to transmigrate from that lower birth one up, and one up until you come back to the human platform again.
Hmm.
You know, if you go to the heaven, you fall down again because you take higher birth. But if you go to the hellish planet, then you come back and you have to go from one order of birth to another. It's all very painful. This material world is nothing but pain. See, the most intelligent doer, the living entity called Jiva, the soul, is part and parcel of me. But due to ignorance, has been suffering in material bondage since time immemorial. By knowledge, however, he can be liberated. So like now we are giving you this knowledge. Yes? Yes or not?
Yep.
So you are getting awakened, is it not?
Yep.
Yeah, you're having a solution, is it not? So that is called awakening. So the spiritual master must awaken the conditioned soul. And that's what exactly Krishna also said in the Bhagavad Gita. So we need the self-realized soul to come out of this problem. Say this point. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is that we all are part and parcel of Krishna. Huh? Having obtained real knowledge from the self-realized soul, you will never fall again to such illusion, for by this knowledge you will see that all living entities are but part of the Supreme. That's the first thing. Or in other words, they are mine, that we all are, spirit, soul, part and parcel of God, servant of God. So this knowledge has to be awoken. Spiritual life is not something that you have to go and acquire, it's already there in the heart. Huh? Pure love of Krishna is eternally established in the hearts of the living entity. It is not something to be gained from another source. When the heart is purified by hearing and chanting, this natural love awakens. So this is a process of awakening up. That means, calling on God, chanting His name. That purifies the conditioned soul. So we need to get in contact with God, and the only way we can do is with our mind. That's why we are asked to chant mantras, mantra. Man means mind and tra means trayate, releasing. So a mantra releases the mind from this material, what we say, consciousness. So that's why mantras are explained. The only way we can get into with God is to chant His name, mantra, Hare Krishna, Ma mantra. I think you have been chanting Hare Krishna, all of you, sometime. Yes?
Yes.
You feel good when you chant? Yes? Because God is all happiness. So when you call on Him, you also become happy. The soul's, natural position is awakened. This is scientifically explained. It is not some imaginary thing. It's not imaginary thing here. The Supreme, can someone read this?
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Uddhava, Supreme Lord gives life to every living being situated within the heart, along with life air and primal sound vibration. The Lord can be perceived in his subtle form within the heart by one's mind, since the Lord controls the minds of everyone, even great demigods like Lord Shiva. The Supreme Lord also assumed a gross form as the various sounds of Vedas, composed of short and long vowels and consonants of different intonations.
So by this sound vibration, this is the gross form that we can perceive, the subtle form of God. That's why this mantra chanting is so effective. And many people ask this question, where's God? Can I see God and all? But the first way to understand God is to chant his name. Then you will actually feel him in your heart. This is the process. The more and more we chant, the more and more our heart becomes purified. Then yes, you will be able to see the Lord face to face. It is not some kind of a utopian thing. It is practical and possible. Just that you don't know how to do it. That's the problem, is it? If you know, then yes. That's why you need the spiritual master to understand these things. Can you read this, please?
O best of kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness and in hearing of the Lord's activities, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face.
So this is not some kind of wild dream, It's practical and possible. It's a question of whether we want to do or not, that's all it is. Whether we want to surrender or not, that's all it is. Yes?
Yes.
So we need to know this process and we need to approach a self-realized person, learn from him. You see behind you, you got tons of books, no? But not one of these books got this kind of knowledge, which is the most important knowledge to get us out of this mess.
We got the Bhagavad Gita there.
Okay, at least that one good book.
He sells our books here.
Ah, so try to understand knowledge, essential knowledge. Material knowledge cannot, material knowledge is mainly for eating, sleeping, mating, defending. They cannot help you. The only knowledge that can help you is this knowledge about how to go back to God. Absolute knowledge. Knowledge is also explained here. Can you read this?
Anything expressed by material vibrations, anything ascertained by material intelligence, and anything experienced by the material senses, or concocted within the material mind, is but an effect of the modes of material nature, and therefore has nothing to do with real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is beyond the creation of this material world, for he is the source of the material qualities and creation. As the cause of all causes, he exists before the creation and after creation. I wish to offer my respectful obeisance to him.
So material knowledge, it cannot help. But a person is bewildered, then, he thinks that this is all very important. And that is also made possible by the Lord because He wants to be bewildered, you know. So someone wants to enjoy the senses, He bewilders him, you know. Please read this.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possesses unlimited transcendental qualities, acting from within the cause of the hearts of all philosophers who propagate various views. He causes them to forget their own souls, while sometimes agreeing and sometimes disagreeing among themselves. Thus, he creates within this material world a situation in which they are unable to come to a conclusion. I offer my obeisances unto him.
So you cannot figure this out by, you know, trying to philosophize and trying to speculate and all that. There is no way you can do that. Only way you can do this is to surrender to Him, you know. This is the only way you can do anything. Devi Sugunamai, Mama Maya Turutyai, Mameva Prapadyante, Maya Metantarantite. Help read.
This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. Those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
So this is the thing. We want to come out of this. Material energy is not your energy or my energy, it's belonging to God. So we want to come out. Then the only way is to go and surrender. You see, Krishna is saying. It's very difficult to overcome. You can try anything and anything. It will not work. Insurmountable. That's the word. Insurmountable means you cannot surmount that. Not possible. Either you want to come out or not come out is the question. If we want to prolong our sufferings, then yes. Just to give you a ripe idea about what length of time we have been going on in this whole program. Can you make a wild guess how long you have been here?
Trillions of years.
Huh?
Trillions of years.
Very good answer. The material system, in the material planetary system, from heavenly to hellish and from all the great demigod would live for 1,000 yuga cycles. There is fear of me in form of time. Even Brahma, who is the topmost person here, who possessed the supreme lifespan of 311 trillion 40 billion years, is also afraid of me. Now, to mind you, Brahma is already finished 50 years of it. Now we are in the 51st year. That means we have been through this for 150 billion, 150 trillion, 20 billion years going on, you know, dying and taking birth and dying and taking birth and dying and taking birth. And still we say we have no time.
Wonder I'm tired.
Can you imagine our rascaldom? Huh? No, we have no time. We want to enjoy again this material world.
No.
100 years.
Is it a very good proposition? Tell me.
No.
No. And that is just this life of Brahma. What about many other Brahmas we have been through? So this is completely an insane thing to do. That's why we need this knowledge, you know, to wake us up. Without this knowledge, we cannot wake up. Yeah, we need guidance from a spiritual authority. I mean, you should be very happy that you have Shankarshan and Chaitanya there to help. Don't you think so? Yes?
Yes.
So you take prasadam, you chant with them, and you learn how to do it, then your life becomes successful. And when you're at the time of death, you can remember Krishna and that finish this whole business of dying and taking birth. And you go back to your original position as servant of God in the spiritual world, never to return again to this miserable world. And what is the price? What is the price? A little investment, opening the mouth and saying what? Hare Krishna. Eh? That's why Krishna says a little endeavor in this saves us from the greatest danger. A little endeavor. Hmm? Huh? You want to read?
In this endeavor, there is no loss of diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
Just to open the mouth and say Hare Krishna. So powerful. That's all it requires. Huh? I think it says here
Holy name of Lord Krishna is an attractive feature for many saintly liberated people, liberal people. It is the annihilator of all sinful reactions and is so powerful that, save for the dumb who cannot chant it, it is readily available to everyone, including the lowest type of man, like Sundar. The holy name of Krishna is a controller of the opulence of liberation and is identical with Krishna. When a person simply chants the holy name with his tongue, immediately effects are produced. Chanting the holy name does not depend on initiation, pious activities, or the paraschara, regular principles generally observed before initiation. The holy name does not wait for any of these activities. It is self-sufficient.
see, so powerful. If you just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then it liberates us from this complicated mesh where we are completely inside, This, read on.
Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified.
Even by unconsciously chanting, you can get freed. What is this unconscious chanting? You have some idea? What is that? What is this unconscious chanting?
I see it through your deeds. Like if you're doing it for the purpose of glorifying Krishna, you don't necessarily promote it that way.
Well, if you chant directly, then that's good. But sometimes you call someone, hey, Hare Krishna, you're unconsciously chanting like that, So even if you do that unconsciously also, you get great benefit, In this regard, did you tell them the story of Ajamil? Did they know about Ajamil?
I think so, Prabhu. Maybe in a class a while ago.
Oh, so they know about the story, huh?
Yeah, of course I do.
So Ajamil chanted unconsciously, you know. Hmm?
Maybe you can explain it again, bro.
So Ajamil he was on the verge of death, and the fearful Yamadutas came to take him away, you know. So he, in that fear, you know, he called for his son, who he was very attached to his son, whose name was Narayana. So when he called for his son, the servants of the Lord in the spiritual world also came there. And they forbade the servants of the hell to take him away because he chanted the name of God unconsciously. This story has been recorded in our scriptures, you know, for millions of years. Therefore, you want to read this?
Therefore, should be understood that one is easily relieved from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord and chanting of his qualities and activities. This is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. Even if one chants the holy name of the Lord with improper pronunciation, he will achieve relief from material bondage if he chants without offenses. Ajamil, for example, was extremely sinful, but while dying, he merely chanted the holy name, and although calling his son, he achieved complete liberation because he remembered the name of Narayan.
Narayana is another name of God. Huh? So you see how uh, even you chant and you fall down or something happens, you know, it doesn't matter actually. It says here. Can you read this?
Considering all these points, therefore, intelligent men decide to solve all problems by adopting the devotional service of chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is situated in everyone's heart and who is a mind of all auspicious qualities. Such persons are not within my jurisdiction for punishment. Generally, they never commit sinful activities, but even if by mistake or because of bewilderment or illusion, they sometimes commit sinful acts, they are protected from sinful reactions because they always chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
See that? Hmm? In fact, the Yamadutas have been warned, you know, don't go to people who chant Hare Krishna. I am not joking, you know, this has all been recorded here. It says here, Yamaraj, the Lord in charge of hellish planet, he was telling his servants, you can see this, you can read this.
My dear servants, please do not approach such devotees, for they have fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are equal to everyone, and their narrations are sung by the demigods and the inhabitants of Siddhaloka. Please do not go even near them. You go near them. They are always protected by the club of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Lord Brahma and I, and even the time factor, are not competent to chastise.
So then who is advised them to go to? Hmm? She says here, bring me all those who don't chant the name of God. You can read again.
My dear servants, please bring to me only those sinful persons who do not use their tongues to chant the holy name and qualities of Krishna, whose hearts do not remember the lotus feet of Krishna even once, and whose heads do not bow even once before Lord Krishna. Send me those who do not perform their duties toward Vishnu, which are the only duties in human life. Please bring me all such fools and rascals.
So this is the order that he gave his servants. This is how anyone who don't chant, they are taken to hell. I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm just trying to help, you know, give you information how you can protect yourself. It is not just that this Yamaraj one only brings people from India or something. Yeah. Just like I say, I don't believe that fire will burn me. If I put my hand on fire just because I say I don't believe, that fire will not act? Huh? You understand? So this is believe or don't believe is, it doesn't justify, it's useless, because my mental belief is subject to my speculation. So there's no room for your belief or my belief. The laws of God is even more powerful than laws of man. Even if I don't believe that if I do some nonsense I'll be arrested, but if I breach the law, then punishment awaits me. I can believe or not believe. So this is just a man-made thing. Can you imagine how much more powerful God's laws are? As already Krishna declared, is insurmountable. So try to understand, in this material world, how this whole thing is arranged. Now it's all organized and managed. It is not that everything, as they say, oh, it's just moving on by nature. Whose nature is that? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is my material nature. Yeah? It says here, this is my material nature. It's working under my direction. Ah, you see that? You want to read?
This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again.
So this is Krishna's nature, and Krishna is the controller. So we have to understand this knowledge to save ourselves, and not only save ourselves, to save our dear ones from going to very difficult situations. So why we should put ourselves into a miserable position? The question is why? Why invite suffering? That's what exactly God is saying. Why are you here to suffer? Why don't you come back to my place? Enjoy with me. Be with me. So everybody is pleasure seeking. That's the nature of the soul. Anandamaya Vyasad, it says that the soul is pleasure seeking. The soul, it does not like miseries. But in this body, we are subject to so many miserable things. Yes?
No.
I think I have made myself very clear. Not myself, it's not my opinion and all that. These are the, what we say, revelation from the words of God, So, question is whether we want to accept it or not. That's all. So, anybody got any more questions on this subject?
But you mentioned before, Brody, the 100 years, because that's the cycle of life, isn't it? It's 100 years, but like it's proportionate to whatever species it is. Is that right? So like an ant's 100 years might be a few weeks, for example. So that's 311 trillion years or something was in a proportion to what are the lifespans of those species. Is that right?
First, let's understand all the species, how they are there. That'll give you some idea. because nobody knows how many species, they cannot say scientifically, but here in the scriptures it's explained. This is from the Vedic scriptures. In this universe, the limitless living entities in 8.4 million species, and all are wandering within this universe, just not only in this planet. You want to read this?
There are 900,000 species living in the water. There are also 2 million non-moving living entities, such as trees and plants. There are also 1,100,000 species of insects and reptiles, and there is 1 million species of birds. As far as quadruples are concerned, there are 3 million varieties, and there are 400,000 human species. Some of these
Yes.
species may
So this is the breakdown of the 8.4 million species. So can you imagine if you go to hell, you come back, you have to start from the lowest.
Using each one.
I mean, 8.4, 8 million lives before you finally become a human being again.
Yeah, so you go to the bottom and start again.
Yeah.
Is there no,
Uh,
nobody
I
jumps?
mean,
Nobody can, like an animal can't.
you want to do that? Huh?
So she's can
Can an
can a living
animal?
entity jump from one, like say, like if you're an ant body in the next life be a human body by Krishna's mercy?
Or even be an animal?
Yes, when you get into this, if you say some or other, let's say you are an animal, and somebody throws some prasadam to you, so immediately by taking the prasadam, you get a higher birth,
So
You
we should
understand?
be kind to animals and feed them prasadam to help them elevate.
Correct. That's what we do. We go and give food to these animals, so they get, a chance to be promoted. You understand? This is how it works. See, it says here, when he goes to hell, having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions, and we pass in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life, prior to human birth, and having thus been purged of his sin, he's reborn again as human being on this earth. I mean, this is a crazy business, Come on, you want to start all this all over again? You must be nuts.
Having purged all the sin.
And you believe or not, there are species out there. There's ants, there's fishes, there's trees, there's birds, everything is there. Whose soul is inside this thing?
Mm.
That's the question. Why I should be inside this thing? That's foolishness, Yes?
Yes.
You can just brush it. I don't believe this. Come on, there are birds flying, there are fish swimming. Whose soul is inside there? Yes?
Yeah.
His logic doesn't make any sense, To deny and live in ignorance is the life of a fool, That's why it says, this foolish, they cannot understand this thing. Those who are fools. Those who are fools, they cannot understand. Can you read?
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
See? So whether you want to be a fool or you want to be intelligent, that's the question. Yeah. Yes?
Yeah, I have a weird question, but so if I'm intelligent and I'm like, I've had enough, can I go tomorrow? Like,
Go where tomorrow?
yeah, like we have to wait until our time has come.
No, if you commit suicide, then you will end up as a ghost.
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
miserable. No, not
I
suicide.
think if
but
you want to
just,
go back to Krishna
I
now,
pray.
you
I want to
now.
go. I want to go now. I'm impatient.
Yeah, you want to go back now, you have to pray to Krishna to take you.
Prabhupada. Prabhupada said you just like that you can go back if you surrender fully.
Really? Okay.
Very simple.
You haven't surrendered.
Because we still have an attachment.
At least you should start, taking up the process. You want to go, that's good. Now we have inspired you to go, but you have to take up the process.
I have to go properly.
Yes, the
intelligently.
process. The process is to first have a spiritual master, then take his instruction, follow the rules and regulation. Then yes, you will develop stage by stage to the point of love of God. You understand? First thing is to develop that faith.
Kill your faith.
You have to develop this faith, this is most important first. That means hearing. In the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master. Under his instruction, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachment, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. This taste leads one further forward to attachment for Krishna consciousness, which is mature in power, the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love of God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of life. So this goes through stages. So now you are coming, okay, you are hearing, you're getting faith, then you will want to associate with the devotees, and then you get initiated, then you follow the rules and regulations by and by. Yes,
What are the rules and regulations?
the rules and regulations. Shankarshan, you want to tell her that?
Full regular pencil, like
No intoxication.
no
Yeah.
eating, and this is like and chanting 16.
These are the 4 pillars of sinful life. And if you do that, then this love of God will never awaken in your heart. So we have to learn how to correct ourselves, clean ourselves. So this is the program. Yes, it may seem like very difficult, but actually when you chant the holy name, then it easily overcome, because you develop a higher taste. You can give up this lower taste unless you have a higher taste. If you don't develop this higher taste, then you cannot give up this lower taste. Common sense. Yes?
Yes.
Mm. So, unless one have a higher taste, what is that verse? Rasobrajam rasopiyasya param dristva nirvartate. So therefore we have to learn, how, and we have to do this austerity, because this austerity will purify us. Hmm? Without purification and practicing austerity, It's difficult.
259.
59, 259. So here you can see higher taste. So here, you want to read this?
So the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment. Taste for sense objects still remains. It remains. But ceasing engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness.
So this is the method. Unless we get a higher taste, we cannot give up this lower taste, no? And what is the highest taste? Love of God. Love of God, the highest taste. Because God is, He is the source of all happiness. You just have to connect back with Him. It is not that you give up, of course, apart from the sinful life, everything else is okay, You're definitely going to work, definitely going to eat, you're going to definitely sleep and do mating and all that, yes. But you have to learn how to do all these activities for God, That we have to learn from the spiritual master. Okay. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerity you perform, or do that, son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So it's not that you become a zombie or something. Yeah, you're going to act normally. You're going to eat, but you eat food offered to Krishna. Everybody has to eat. Huh? So we eat vegetables, grain, rice, so many things. And before you eat, you offer to Krishna. Thank you, my Lord, for giving me this very nice preparation. Acknowledging. And then you can eat as much as you like. So much you can eat. No stoppage. And everybody is found of having sex. Yes, you mate, but you produce God-conscious children. There's no objection to that. Yes, you sleep. You have to sleep anyway. You sleep and then you wake up and you chant Hare Krishna. So what's the problem? You have to work. You have to earn some money. Yes, give some portion to Krishna to get your wealth purified. So this process is very easy to do if you are guided properly. Not difficult at all. The Lord does not like to make things difficult. So try to understand these very easy methods, how to live in this material world, and then you get complete happiness, Then you become very happy. You want to read this?
Those who are not connected with the Supreme and Krishna consciousness can neither have transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
So if you connect to Krishna, then you get peace. The connection is to acknowledge. Acknowledge that the Lord is everything, This is what we have to acknowledge.
The sages knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pains of material miseries.
So the moment you know, then yes, just to know Krishna is everything. So, any other questions?
Thanks, Prabhu.
I hope you like this session.
That's good.
Very nice, Prabhu.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Prabhu.
It is all not my words, it's all in the book. If you don't like me for some reason, what I said, it is not what I said. It is what God says. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
And if this knowledge is told to everybody, their life will become successful. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So therefore, we need many, many people like all of you to help us propagate this to make people happy. We are trying to sell happiness, nobody wants to buy. Yes? So I guess I have to thank you for joining in with me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If any other last questions, so then we will end the session, huh?
No questions from your side, Prabhu? No more questions from here?
All right. Is your brother online? What about Yoga Maya? She's hearing this.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So it's very nice. I have
I'm
a
also here.
chance. Yeah. Who? Chaitanya?
Sorry, I got the kids screaming in the back.
So I have to thank all of you for giving me a chance. I don't know what that was. What happened?
Take the speaker off.
Chaitanya needs to mute.
Can have a cross. So I have to thank all of you for giving me a chance to interact with all of you. Thank you again for time sharing with you.
Likewise,
So,
Prabhu.
so I hope we can again meet again to broaden our association. Right, then I like to take leave. Thank you again. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, Srila Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.